So Dini and I get soaked coming down through High Street, so I'm not that nervous, just in case. So I'd like to thank Linda for, can everybody hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Linda for making this book, this launch and this evening possible, and for being a brilliant mentor to so many writers down the years, including some of the best creative writing students we had at the University of Glasgow, writers that she can take credit for. And Linda's pointed some wonderful writers in our direction, Kevin Brannigan, who's sitting over next to me, being one of them, and I'm so grateful for that. So there's a poem for Linda in this collection, and it's called Bluebird, and I'd like to begin by reading Bluebird. Is that better, right? Can you hear me now? So this is called Bluebird for Linda Jackson. Linty, lilting through the leaves, brooding in the eaves, the bluebird's plaintive trill, quavering, querulous, trembling, tremulous, nesting, never resting, sheltering others under her wing. From rag and bone, see how she's grown, that hymn is her size, bluer than the bluest blue, a blues song in disguise. Sunlight on sheaves, she shuffles through leaves, knows all the keys, separates the lees from the tonics that please. Solitary seeds sown, bluebell bursting through stone, single reed blown into life like a saxophone. Backcourt balladeer scheming alone, waiting for the right note to float, bright as birdsong in the air. That was the lightest note of the evening. I was telling Nicky up there that my themes were death and memory. Okay, cheery. Some poems about my father. This one is called Covers. My grandfather's funeral 100 years ago. A white blanket covers Glasgow. Irish relatives over from Mayo. In the middle of a bitter night, my father meets a cousin in the hall with the same idea for keeping warm. A pile of coats and a crooked arm, and only his eyes showing. If we came home like drowned kittens, Daddy shook our coats out on the landing. Last night I dreamt I came in, soaked to the skin, and he said, "It's okay, son, just hang your jacket on top of mine," which was wet through, and suddenly I knew I wasn't scared of dying. Okay, in 1941, my father was working at Parkhead Forge. He did go into the army and serve in Burma and in India after 1941, but in 1941, earlier that year, he was working at Parkhead Forge. When he heard some men outside the Nissan house shouting, "Fuck the union, fuck the union," it turned out all the workers had had a bonus except the British labourers, and the same thing had happened at Motherwell and Glengarnock. So my father decided to do something about it, and he did. This is called Chief Mover. His MI5 file gives the facts. Height 5'6", slim build, dark brown hair, tan complexion, grey eyes. 1932, nominee for May Day delegation to the USSR. Left for Spain, 3rd of the 1st, 37, via Dunkirk. 9th of the 6th, 41. Chief mover in strike action at the Parkhead Forge. Streetwise, savvy, this son of a hawker and a navvy, picked his fights, stood with the oppressed, fought for their rights, battled fascists in Spain, spent time in jail, would not permit a bully to prevail, battled to get the British labourers their bonus when all else failed. How much less is asked of me, his son, that never took part in some bold manoeuvre, never held a gun or risked his life for anyone. I think of him now, the chief mover, as I raise my placard on the picket line and fight my war of words online. When my father was working as a labourer in the Red Road flats in the 60s and then later up at Lamb Hill, a housing scheme built on top of an engineering works, he'd bring stuff home that would be taken to the local scrapyard, Johnson's in Bardowie Street, for cash after it was cleaned up. This is called Scrap Mettle, the title poem. When the ragman came round for woolens, we'd give the shirts off our back for balloons. Next came Daddy, heavy metal in his bag, his homecoming gifts, brass fittings, lead pipes, electric cable we'd strip for copper wire at the kitchen table, him with the Stanley knife, us with razor blades, small fingers, quick and sure, scraping away in silence till what was underneath shone through. In the 1990s, when Glasgow's radical bookshops began to close, my father had to get some of his reading material by post, one item in particular. This next one is called "On My Father's Refusal to Renew His Subscription to the Beijing Review." He's fallen out with everyone, including God, but hasn't had a rift with China. Yet he's set his face against renewal, getting near the end now. He never speaks of death or dying. At 98, too late to start anew? Aye, getting near the end. What can he mean? A 5-year plan whose targets he can't meet? Is he thinking of Taiwan, another link in the great chain of Beijing? They'll repossess it, just like they did Hong Kong, toying with America. All the more good cause to sign along the dotted line. 5 more years deliverance by airmail, not filtered by the West through the Guardian Digest, but straight from the red, red heart of the world. There's a big difference, everybody knows, between saying you're an anarchist and saying you're a communist. Are you, or have you ever been a member of the Anarchist Party? But when I read Stuart Christie's memoir, Granny Made Me an Anarchist, it inspired me to write this. It's called Daddy Made Me a Communist. Not because he was a fully paid up, card-carrying member of the party from the hungry 30s till the walls came tumbling down. Soapbox speaker from Glasgow Green to Govan Cross, who had his little helpers posting leaflets through letterboxes on doors scarred by more names than a phone book. Into closemouths dark as cellars he drove us with cries of "Start at the top landing!" Not because he had us into dialectical materialism when other kids were into Daleks and Maltesers, or took us to the Socialist Fellowship on Fridays, making us miss Mike Yarwood impersonating Wilson and Heath with a wig and false teeth. He filled the house with left-wing papers, pamphlets, patter, raging at the news, the government, empire, monarchy, authority in all its shapes and shadows, the walls and bars of social norms. A teetotalitarian, intoxicated by ideology, high on the crack of his Irish father, stuck in that wild red neck of the woods that we called home, bereft of hope. Thinking back, that was solidarity, that hand clasp for a broken stranger punched in a doorway, the way his father punched in his arrival 100 years or more before, despairing, defiant, clutching his collar. I remember him walking, one of 9, father of 9, father of mine, provider, not sole, but solitary, pacing in solitude through streets paved with gum, carrying the morning star in a hand that would move hot coals around the fireplace like chess pieces while we pleaded, "Use the poker, Daddy!" Stepping, striding, whistling, bonnet pushed back, eyes aglitter, as the evening star stared down on dead-end lives of misery and mess. And I wish I had been not son or 7th child as was, but comrade, friend, supporter of a living cause.